If you walked into Costco last week and noticed certain shelves looking a little thinner than usual, you are not imagining things. Something is happening right now that most shoppers have no clue about. Prices on specific items are about to shift in a direction nobody wants to see, and the people who pay attention are already loading their carts. I have been watching this pattern for weeks now. I have been comparing receipts, checking warehouse inventory, and talking to people who work inside the supply chain. What I found honestly surprised me. There are at least 10 foods right now at Costco that smart shoppers are quietly stocking up on before July hits, and most of your neighbors have no idea why. When we get to number 7 on this list, I need you to pay close attention because that one caught me completely off guard. I did not expect it to be on this list at all, but when you hear the reason, it will make perfect sense. If you are the kind of person who wants to stay ahead of rising costs and protect your family's grocery budget, you are in the right place. Hit that subscribe button right now so you do not miss what is coming next. Let us get into it. Item number 1. Kirkland Signature Extra Virgin Olive Oil. This is the one that got me started down this rabbit hole in the first place. I was at Costco about 3 weeks ago, and I noticed the price on the 2-pack of Kirkland Extra Virgin Olive Oil had gone up again. Not by a few cents, by a noticeable amount. And the thing is, this is not a Costco problem. This is a global problem. Olive oil has been in a supply crisis for over 2 years now. Spain and Italy, which produce the majority of the world's olive oil, have been dealing with extreme drought conditions that have crushed harvests. The 2025 harvest was supposed to bring relief, and it did slightly, but nowhere near enough to bring prices back to where they were in 2022. Industry analysts are saying that olive oil prices globally are still sitting near historic highs, and the summer months tend to push demand even higher as people cook lighter meals, make salads, and grill more. I looked into this myself and found that wholesale olive oil prices in the Mediterranean have barely dropped even with the slightly better harvest. Costco has been absorbing some of that cost to keep members happy, but there is a limit to how long any retailer can do that. When I spoke to someone who follows commodity pricing closely, they told me that July and August are typically when retailers adjust shelf prices to reflect what they have been paying on the back end for months. If you use olive oil regularly, and most families do, now is the time to grab an extra bottle or two. Kirkland Signature is already one of the best values out there for genuine extra virgin olive oil. It stores well in a cool, dark place for up to 18 months. You do not need to buy 10 bottles. But having 1 or 2 extras in the pantry means you are not paying whatever the new price ends up being this summer. This is one of those items where the people who stock up now will look back and feel very smart about it. Item number 2, Costco Rotisserie Chicken. Now I know what you are thinking. The $5 rotisserie chicken is not going anywhere. And you are right, Costco has said publicly many times that they will keep that price point because it drives foot traffic into the store. But here is what nobody is talking about. The chickens themselves are getting harder to source at the volume Costco needs. Poultry production in the United States has been under pressure from multiple directions. Feed costs, while lower than their 2022 peak, are still elevated compared to pre-pandemic levels. Avian influenza outbreaks continue to pop up in different regions, and even when they do not directly hit major producers, they create uncertainty in the supply chain. On top of that, labor costs at processing plants have gone up significantly. Costco actually built their own poultry processing plant in Nebraska a few years ago specifically to control costs on this one product. That tells you how seriously they take it. I personally grab one of these almost every time I go to Costco. Last month I noticed that by early afternoon on a Saturday, they were completely sold out at my local warehouse. That used to never happen. I asked one of the employees, and they said they have been getting fewer birds per delivery than they used to. Now, that could be a local issue. But when I checked online forums where Costco members share their experiences, I saw the same story popping up in different states. The practical move here is simple. If you rely on rotisserie chicken for easy weeknight dinners, do not wait until 6 p.m. to grab one. Go earlier in the day. And if you want to stock up, Buy 2 or 3, shred the meat when you get home, and freeze it in portions. It keeps beautifully for up to 3 months in the freezer, and you can use it in soups, tacos, salads, casseroles, anything. Do not take this item for granted just because the price has not changed. Availability is the thing to watch here. Item number 3. Kirkland Signature Canned Tuna. This one flies under the radar, but it should not. Canned tuna is one of those pantry staples that people forget about until they need it, and by then, the price has already moved. Kirkland Signature Albacore Tuna is one of the best deals in the entire warehouse, and right now, the conditions are lining up for that to change. Global tuna stocks have been under increasing pressure. The Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission has been tightening catch limits to prevent overfishing, and those limits directly affect how much product ends up on store shelves in the United States. At the same time, fuel costs for fishing fleets remain high, and the cost of the aluminum cans themselves has not come down as much as people expected. All of those factors feed into the final price you see at Costco. I checked the price on the 8-pack of Kirkland Albacore tuna last week and compared it to what I paid in January. It was already a couple dollars more. That might not sound like much, but when you annualize that kind of increase, it adds up fast for a family that eats tuna regularly. I also compared it to what the same quality of tuna costs at a regular grocery store, and the Costco price is still dramatically better. But the gap is narrowing. Stock up on this now. Canned tuna has a shelf life of 3 to 5 years when stored properly. Buy 2 or 3 of those 8-packs and put them in your pantry. You will use them. Tuna salad, tuna melts, pasta dishes, quick lunches. This is the kind of item that costs you almost nothing to store and could save you real money over the next 12 months. You do not want to be the person who notices the price jump in August and wishes they had acted sooner. Item number 4. Kirkland Signature Frozen Shrimp. Frozen shrimp is one of Costco's best sellers and one of the items I have been watching most closely. The 2-pound bag of raw tail-on shrimp is a staple in millions of households, and right now, the pricing dynamics are shifting in a way that most people have not caught on to yet. India and Ecuador are the 2 largest shrimp exporters to the United States. Both countries have been dealing with production challenges. In India, disease outbreaks in shrimp farming regions have reduced output. In Ecuador, rising operational costs and currency fluctuations have made exports more expensive. On top of that, new tariff discussions in Washington have created uncertainty around imported seafood pricing for the second half of 2026. Nothing has been finalized yet, but the mere threat of tariff adjustments causes importers to raise prices preemptively to protect their margins. I buy the frozen shrimp at Costco probably once a month. It is one of the most versatile proteins in my freezer. Last time I was there, I grabbed 2 bags instead of 1 because I had been reading about the supply issues coming out of Southeast Asia. The employee at the seafood section told me they had been getting questions from other members about whether the price was going up. That is usually a sign that something is already in motion behind the scenes. If you have freezer space, buy an extra bag or 2 now. Frozen shrimp keeps for 6 to 12 months in a good freezer. Thaw what you need, cook it in 15 minutes, and you have a meal. Shrimp tacos, stir-fry, pasta, grilled skewers. The versatility alone makes this worth stocking up on, but the pricing pressure makes it urgent. This is one of those quiet moves that separates the prepared shopper from everyone else. Item number 5. Kirkland Signature Maple Syrup. This one might surprise you, but hear me out. Pure maple syrup is about to get more expensive, and Costco's Kirkland Signature Jug is currently one of the best deals you can find anywhere. Canada produces roughly 70% of the world's maple syrup, and the 2026 tapping season was not great. Warmer than usual, temperatures in Quebec disrupted the freeze-thaw cycle that maple trees need to produce sap efficiently. The Quebec Maple Syrup Producers Federation, which literally manages a strategic reserve of maple syrup, has reported that this year's yield was below average. When supply drops and demand stays the same, you know exactly what happens to prices. I did not even think about this until a friend of mine who lives in Vermont mentioned that local syrup prices had jumped noticeably this spring. That made me curious, so I looked into the wholesale numbers. Sure enough, the price per barrel of maple syrup on the commodity market has been climbing steadily since March. Costco has not fully passed that along to members yet, but based on past patterns, summer is usually when those adjustments show up on the shelf tag. If your family uses maple syrup on pancakes, waffles, oatmeal, or in baking, grab an extra jug now. The Kirkland Signature 1-litre bottle is Grade A Amber, which is the most versatile grade for cooking and table use. It stores easily in the pantry unopened, and once opened, it keeps in the refrigerator for a year or more. This is a no-brainer stock-up item. You will thank yourself when you see the new price tag later this summer. Item number 6. Kirkland Signature Peanut Butter. Peanut butter might be the most underrated pantry staple in America, and right now, it is also one of the most vulnerable to price increases. The Kirkland Signature 2-pack of organic peanut butter is a fantastic product, and I have been buying it for years. But the numbers behind peanut pricing right now are not encouraging. The United States is the world's third largest peanut producer, but domestic demand has been outpacing supply growth. Peanut acreage in Georgia, which produces nearly half of the country's peanuts, was down in the last planting cycle as some farmers shifted to more profitable crops like cotton. On top of that, peanut butter demand surged during and after the pandemic as families rediscovered it as an affordable protein source, and that demand has not come back down. Export demand from Asia has also been climbing steadily. I compared the Costco price on their 2-pack to what I would pay at my local grocery store for a single jar of comparable quality. The Costco price was literally less per ounce than the store brand at my supermarket. That kind of value gap usually does not last forever, especially when input costs are rising. Buy an extra 2-pack and put it in your pantry. Peanut butter in a sealed jar lasts well over a year. It is one of the most calorie-dense, shelf-stable foods you can own. Whether you eat it on toast, use it in smoothies, or pack it in your kids' lunches, this is something you will use. Getting it at today's price instead of tomorrow's price is just smart shopping. Protect your budget on the basics. That is where the real savings add up. Item number 7. Costco Butter 2-pack. This is the one I told you about at the beginning. This is the one that caught me completely off guard, and when I dug into the reasons, I could not believe more people are not talking about it. Butter prices in the United States are heading into what industry analysts are calling a potential supply squeeze this summer. Here is why. Milk production in the United States has been essentially flat for over a year. The national dairy herd has been shrinking as older cows are culled and replacement rates have not kept up. At the same time, butter consumption in America has been rising steadily as consumers have moved away from margarine and back toward real butter for cooking and baking. The USDA's own data shows that per capita butter consumption is at its highest level in decades. Now layer on top of that the fact that summer is when butter demand spikes because of grilling season, summer baking, and holiday prep buying that starts earlier every year. Wholesale butter prices on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange have already been climbing since April. Some dairy industry sources are projecting that retail butter prices could hit levels this summer that we have not seen since the spike in late 2022. I checked the Costco price on their Kirkland Signature Butter 2-pack last week. It was still reasonable, but I also checked it against what I paid in February, and it had already crept up. The trajectory is clear. I bought 3 2-packs and put 4 of those pounds straight into the freezer. And that is exactly what you should do. Butter freezes beautifully. Wrap it well or keep it in its original packaging. Put it in a freezer bag and it will last 6 to 9 months with no loss in quality. When butter hits $4 or $5 a pound at regular grocery stores this summer, you will be sitting comfortably with your Costco stash. This is the kind of insider move that saves a family real money. Do not sleep on this one. Item number 8. Kirkland Signature Basmati rice. Rice is one of those foundational foods that most people do not think about until there is a problem. And right now, there are several problems converging at once. India, which is the world's largest rice exporter, has been implementing export restrictions on and off for the past 2 years. In 2025, they lifted some of those restrictions, but analysts are warning that new limitations could come back at any time, depending on domestic harvest results and political pressures. India's monsoon season, which is critical for rice production, has been increasingly unpredictable due to changing weather patterns. Any disruption there sends shockwaves through global rice markets. Meanwhile, rice prices in the United States have been steadily climbing. The Kirkland Signature basmati rice, which comes in a large bag, is imported and therefore directly affected by global trade dynamics. I have been buying this rice for years, and I can tell you from my own receipts that the price has gone up meaningfully over the past 18 months. I spoke to someone who works in food import logistics, and they told me that shipping costs from South Asia have ticked back up in 2026 due to insurance premiums related to ongoing shipping route disruptions. That cost gets baked into every bag of rice that arrives at a Costco warehouse. Stock up on rice now. It is one of the easiest foods to store long term. In a cool, dry place, white rice and basmati rice can last for years. Buy an extra bag, put it in an airtight container, and forget about it until you need it. You will have locked in today's price on a product that is almost certainly going to cost more by fall. This is basic preparation that costs you almost nothing, but could save you a lot. Item number 9. Kirkland Signature Canned Tomatoes. Here is another pantry staple that most people overlook, and that is exactly why it belongs on this list. Canned tomatoes are the backbone of home cooking. Pasta sauce, chili, soups, stews, casseroles. If you cook at home regularly, you go through a lot of canned tomatoes. Italy is the world's leading producer of canned tomatoes, and the Italian tomato harvest has been under stress. Water shortages in southern Italy, where most processing tomatoes are grown, have reduced yields in recent seasons. California, which produces the majority of America's domestic canned tomatoes, has had its own challenges with water allocation and labor costs. The result is that canned tomato prices have been creeping up across the board. I went through my pantry last month and realized I only had 2 cans left. When I went to Costco to restock, I noticed the price on the Kirkland Signature organic crushed tomatoes had gone up from what I remembered paying last year. It was not a dramatic jump, but it was enough to make me grab 2 cases instead of 1. Canned tomatoes have a shelf life of 2 to 3 years easily. They stack neatly in a pantry or garage shelf. There is virtually no downside to having extra on hand. If you make even 1 or 2 home-cooked meals a week that use tomato-based sauces, buying an extra case now at Costco's current price is one of the smartest moves you can make this month. The people who stock up on the boring basics are the ones who save the most money over time. Remember that. Item number 10. Kirkland Signature Honey. I saved this one for last because it is one of those items that perfectly illustrates everything we have been talking about today. Honey is getting more expensive, the reasons are real, and most people will not notice until it is too late. Global honey production has been declining for years due to colony collapse disorder, habitat loss, pesticide exposure, and changing climate patterns that disrupt flowering seasons. The United States imports a significant portion of its honey, primarily from countries like Argentina, Brazil, India, and Vietnam. Trade policies and quality testing requirements have tightened in recent years, which has reduced the volume of cheap imported honey and pushed prices up on the legitimate product. Kirkland Signature Raw Unfiltered Honey is one of the best values in the honey market. It is a large 3-pound jar of genuine product at a price that is hard to beat anywhere. But I have watched that price climb steadily over the past year. When I compared what I paid for it in early 2025 to what it costs now, the difference was significant enough to make me pay attention. I also learned something interesting. A lot of the cheap honey you see at regular grocery stores has been found in testing to be adulterated with corn syrup or other sweeteners. It is not even real honey. The Kirkland product has a strong reputation for authenticity, which makes it even more valuable as the market gets squeezed. Buy an extra jar now. Honey literally never expires. Archaeologists have found edible honey in Egyptian tombs that is thousands of years old. It crystallizes over time, but you can gently warm it back to liquid. There is zero risk in stocking up on honey. It is one of the safest long-term pantry investments you can make. When the price jumps again later this year, and it will, you will already be covered. Now let us step back and look at the bigger picture here. Every single item on this list shares something in common. They are all foods that real families use every single week. They are all facing some combination of supply pressure, rising production costs, trade uncertainty, or weather-related disruption. And they are all currently available at Costco at prices that are still reasonable but trending in the wrong direction. This is not about hoarding. This is not about panic. This is about being smart with your money and making decisions based on information instead of reacting after the fact. The people who pay attention to these patterns and act on them are the ones who keep their grocery budgets under control while everyone else wonders why their cart costs $40 more than it did last month. You now know what the smart shoppers at Costco are doing. You have the same information they have. The question is whether you are going to act on it. Most people will watch this video, think it is interesting, and then forget about it. But you are not most people. You are here because you care about making your money go further. You care about being prepared, and you care about your family. If this video helped you, hit that subscribe button right now. I put out content like this every week, breaking down the real trends that affect your wallet before the mainstream catches on. Drop a comment below and tell me which item on this list surprised you the most. I read every single comment and it helps me know what to cover next. Stay smart, stay ahead, and I will see you in the next one.